just outside of Nashville, basic American history is up for debate.
His parents taught him about George Washington, and he identifies George Washington as a white man, and then asks if he would be killed back then because he has brown skin. I mean, he's judging George Washington not by any of what about being the founder of our country.
So when do we tell the kid that, in fact, he may have been killed back then because of the color of his skin?
I'm not sure that's what you teach, that you would have been killed for the color of your skin. That's a narrative, really.
Robin Steenman is trying to change.
All right. First and foremost, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Hashem Rahak Wadash, for the spirit to do this lesson. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone, who rule well, peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom to the men of the Lord, prophesying, preaching and teaching on the highways and byways in sincerity and in truth. Shalom Barakatham. You just heard this demon. It's a spirit. The video stopped at 44 seconds. I came across this the other day, or last night, I should say. And so I just thought I would speak on it for a bit.
Hi, friends.
Salakia, hold on. Something playing in the background. Salakia, okay. You just heard this demon. I'm gonna play it again one more time. You can hear her; she's fumbling through it. And if this doesn't prove that you people, man, are completely under a spell of witchcraft, and I don't know what does.
He would be killed back then because he has brown skin. I mean, he's judging. His parents taught him about George Washington, and he identifies George Washington as a white man, and then asks if he would be killed back then because he has brown skin. I mean, he's judging George Washington not by any of what about being the founder of our country.
So when do we tell the kid that, in fact, he may have been killed back then because of the color of his skin?
I'm not sure that's what you teach, that you would have been killed for the color of your skin. That's a narrative, really.
Robin Steenman is trying to change the narrative on race in the Williamson County, Tennessee public school.
Now it's a narrative, man, you know? But what did the scriptures say? Because this is just history. Now, there's a big old debate about CRT, or what's known as critical race theory, which, you know, that's just the left-hand side of this wicked system trying to profit off of Jake's misery again. You know, it's a bunch of Edomite so-called liberals that are trying to co-opt the pain of our people, all right, to further their own agenda, meanwhile they're destroying you, you know. But before I go to Isaiah, let's get that in Numbers, because she said you're trying to characterize George Washington not by the color of his skin, and not by the fact that he founded the country and he started America, as if America is such a great thing, you know. But what do the scriptures say about that? About how you begin something? It says, Numbers 35 and 33, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land. Isn't that how George Washington founded this land, through blood? All right. What was George Washington's position before he was the first president? He was a general. He was a man of war. All right. It says, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Now, she wants to try to erase the bloody part of this guy. She wants you to only recognize him for being a founder of the country, and his contribution to the Constitution and freedom and all of this other bullshit that they made up. Meanwhile, none of this applied to you, and they only gave it to you later on as a means to further their own enterprise. You know? a lot of times Esau will stop doing something and try to make you think he stopped doing it for your own good when really he's already made his money off of it. He'll say, oh, yes, we did slavery, but we stopped doing slavery. Yeah, after you made trillions and trillions of dollars and you completely took our identity, all right, and you convinced the rest of the world that we were lower than you, then you stopped slavery, all right, after the damage was done. you know, and he'll come back and he'll say, oh, the war on drugs, yeah, I know we passed those mandatory minimums that hurt, the Israelites, you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, but we don't do that anymore. That's something we did in the past, but we don't do that now. See, we've grown, we've learned, but see, what you don't realize is that the damage is already done. They've already locked up an entire generation of our people, man. They locked up millions of us over that time period. So now what do you have? An entire generation of degenerates, of single moms. And while the men were away, you convinced Eve that being single was actually good for her. That not only was it okay for her to not have a man in the home, but that she was better off without a man in the home. All right, that's it. That's in Matthew. I forget the name of the chapter specifically. Yeah, Matthew 12:29. It says, "Or how else can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house." So when he passed all those draconian measures, those mandatory minimum sentences, meaning you got caught with a one crack rock, your ass is going away for 20 years. All right, if they catch you on intent to distribute, that's life. You know what I'm saying? And even if the judge wanted to rule favorably, even if the judge wasn't wicked, a mandatory minimum by law, they had to give you the minimum. All right. And he did that for what, almost 20 years in the 80s. Okay. And know how many, Jake's got locked up behind that, man. Now he's saying, yeah, we stopped doing that. But see, the damage is already done. You're already, look at you now. Only thing you care about is backwoods and women twerking. You know what I'm saying? Complete degeneracy. You're off in these quote unquote alternative lifestyles. If you know what I mean, guys like Lil Nas X, that's your legacy now. Twerking, death, adultery, straight folly. You're leading the way of these foolish challenges on the internet and TikToks and just being a complete degenerate, man. That's the result of what Esau did. But see, he plays like he throw the rock and hide his hands, and you can see it in this demon's face. Let me see if anything else plays on this.
School district. She pulled her child out of public school. And now she leads a chapter of Moms for Liberty in this wealthy, Republican-leaning suburb. Nationally, the group is known for loudly protesting school masking.
So she's something for Moms for Liberty, and that whole liberty thing, it goes back to this guy's philosophy. All right, and I'll show you that real quick in Isaiah 32. He's gonna preach liberty. All right. This is Isaiah 32 and 5. It says, "The vile person shall no more be called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful." All right. Why? Because he spouts something called liberalism, freedom. All right. The pursuit of happiness, life, and liberty. That's this guy's message, and that's written in Daniel 7 that that little horn would do this exact same thing. All right, I'll get that real quick as well too. It says, "For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy." She's now trying to ban just the teaching of the history of what actually happened. Why? Because it makes them look bad. All right. they don't want to deal with guilt, even though they placed atrocity upon atrocity upon us, man. They committed those atrocities upon us, I should say. And it says, and to utter error against the Lord Yahweh, and to make empty the soul of the hungry. See, it's not just food, water, and physical nourishment that makes your soul empty. It's taking your identity away from you. You know, it's trying to blur the lines of history to make you. They're trying to gaslight you. It's like, oh no, it wasn't really that bad. Oh, we just didn't know what we were doing was wrong. You know, now that we've come out and we've coexisted, now we understand. But see, they don't give you anything for what they did. They don't take any responsibility, any accountability for it. So they completely spoiled us, man. And it says, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instruments also of the churl are evil. And this is evil, man. The fact that they can get on TV, they can start a whole movement. You see all these Edomites back here are all backing her up to conspire to hide history, to hide truth. All right, and this is on a low level. Can you imagine what the elites have done? What these Rothschilds and these different banking families and all these other elite families, what lengths they've gone? You have any idea how much they've hidden from us? But the Most High is going to expose this whole thing very soon, man. All right, it says he deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. So we're gonna come up here and tell you not to do this certain medical procedures. All right, we'll tell you not to trust this guy. We'll go to Sirach 12:10 and say, never trust thine enemy. All right, we'll curse out, who we got to curse out. But see, our women is now a protected class, so we can't even rebuke her. They'll take your video down. They'll label you as hate speech. And that's the needy speaking right, man. Things need to be put back in order. We're the needy, and what a lot of jakes don't realize is that one of the major resources of a race of people is their women. All right. So while Esau may be giving you a job, he may be letting you get food stamps. You might be able to work in his offices and all of that stuff. He's completely taking your woman away from you. Your biggest resource as a group of men are your women. Okay. It's land, it's labor, and women are a representation of labor. Along with yourself. So they've completely confounded our families. They've spoiled us, man. It says, but the liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. So this is a liberal thing. He speaks about freedom. All right. He'll say you're free to do this, you're free to do that, but you can't learn about this. All right. You can't learn about that part of history in school. And at first they're trying to say it's just the kids are too young to learn about something so graphic. But when you go up throughout the different grades and stuff, they never want you to talk about it, ever. It says, I'll get that real quick in Daniel, just to prove this is America that it would be doing this, right? This is Daniel 7:20. It says, and the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell. All right. Now the 10 horns came out of the Edomites of Europe. All right. Those different kingdoms from England, Germany, Spain, all the way over to Germany, to that whole area of Europe, basically. You had the French, you had the Spanish, and you had the English. All right, those are these 3 horns. All right. Even of that had eyes. Salaki says, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell. Now that 3 that fell was the English, the French, and the Spanish. All right. Even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things. All right, whose look was more stout than his fellows. And I brought this out before. That look goes into vision. All right, when you look at it, and that vision is the thing that they were talking about, freedom. See, when America got started, they were the only one that wasn't under the Catholic monarchy. England was under the Catholic monarchy. Spain was under the French, was under the Catholic crown. So was the Spanish. You know, you had Queen Ferdinand that sent Columbus over here. All right. You had the French kings over there, the Portugal kings. You had Leopold. All right. Those were monarchs over here. But when America got founded, they had something called a republic. All right. And that republic was promising, you know, we're going to be free from a king, and everyone's going to be able to vote and have representation, and you can come here and dreams can come true. This is the American dream. And they set up these parties, all right, those eyes, all right, left and right. What's known today as the Democrats and Republicans, but they were always, you know, two different opposing philosophies. But that root word, Salaki, did I grab the right one? I don't think I did. Yeah. Chazav. All right. It says vision, appearance. All right. It says a sight, look, a vision. All right. And you can see how the words was used. Thy dream and thy vision of thy head. It's used as the word visions. Okay. So that goes back to that whole American dream, this promise. And Esau gave out all of that land promise and all of this freedom. And now you fast forward to today, they don't want you to learn about what actually happened, because it wasn't about freedom. Because what were they doing the whole time? They had Jake and chains. They made trillions upon trillions of dollars off of us. All right. And caused an incalculable amount of damages to us. All right. Just taking our name away alone is priceless. Not to mention all the rape, the torture. You know, this guy is completely, you know, out of his mind. You know?
It has traumatized Williamson County kids.
But Steenman's chapter filed a different kind of complaint with the Tennessee Department of Education this summer.
Because it's historically accurate, it's appropriate for a 6, 7, 8-year-old.
Moms for Liberty is angry about an
Right.
inclusion curriculum being taught in the county public schools. They're mostly concerned about
Because they don't want their kids to feel bad. All because they don't want their kids to feel bad at the cost of Jake forgetting how they got here. All right? And the Most High says we're not going to forget. You damn devils. This is Isaiah 14:21. It says, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land nor fill the face of the world with cities. Now, how are we going to do that if you don't remember who you are? If you don't remember who they are? See, they don't want you to look at things as an us versus them anymore. They want you to all be under this bullshit of American, being an American, which is witchcraft. Because the reality of it is there is a difference between the people here. There are multiple different nations that are here. Elam is here, Moab is here, Ammon is here. All right, Ishmael, Esau is definitely here, and Jacob is here. Okay? But they'll have you think, well, no, we're all American. You just got to sign this paperwork, and you're a citizen. And meanwhile, when you look at it, they don't rule that way, because who controls what 1% of people that control all the wealth? What race are they? It's Esau, man. All right. So this whole thing is a giant cauldron of witchcraft. All right. It says, "For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant, and son and nephew, saith the Lord Yahweh. I also will make it a possession for the bittern and pools of water, and will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts." And that besom is something is what's defined as a sweeping agent, right? And that's that destroying wind that's gonna sweep through this place by means of that thermonuclear destruction, which is prophesied over and over and over and over again. All right. So we're not gonna forget. All right. They're trying to take this shit out of the schools and confound Jake, but this is the more and more they fight against what happened in history, the more and more suspicion they're gonna draw on themselves that hey, they've been covering things up. All right. So when Jake goes to Job 9:24, when it says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, he's gonna look at the earth, and this is when the elect are gonna start waking up, because they're gonna see things like this in the news, and they're gonna be able to hear scriptures like this, and it's gonna click. All right, that seal is gonna light up in their forehead, man. Spiritually speaking. All right, because they're gonna look at the earth and go, "Who's in control of the earth?" Okay, that's only one person. It says he covered the faces of the judges thereof. All right, and when he sees that they're trying to cover up things that we all know happened, that's going to be a red flag, an alert that hey, the scriptures are on point here. All right, because it's one thing to read it in the scriptures and say, yeah, I could see that, but it's an entirely different thing to see it happening before your eyes. This nigga is still doing it. All right, because he's too full of pride to stop or to cover his tracks better, because he thinks lowly of you, even though he's lower than us. All right, he thinks he actually deserves the birthright. It says, if not, where and who is he? So when Jake starts seeing things like that, man, he's gonna realize. All right. Job 27:14, it says, if his children be multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. All right. So all you Edomites that took all of this wealth, all right, you want to inherit the wealth of this place, but you don't want to inherit the debt, and that debt is unpayable. You don't have it, which is all of the slavery, the rape, the robbing, the murder, the taking of the land, all of the labor, the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars you extracted out of us and labor to further your enterprise of wickedness. All of you people that inherited all of that wealth, all right, that multiplied your families, you got multiplied for destruction. That's your fate. That's what's coming to you. That's what's coming to America. All right. We all know this scripture here, Revelation 13, because this is the main reason why they don't want this taught in school, because they already know that most of them are so-called Christians, right? They'll say they believe in the Bible, but when they hear scriptures, they're cut by it. And they don't want you to be able to go into the Bible and cut them. So the only thing they can do is try to obscure the accounts of history. But we know what happened, man. The truth is already out. The internet that this devil invented worked against him, you know. This is Revelation 13:10. It says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So who is doing the killing? It's not the ones who... So who are the saints is the better question. The saints are not the ones that are doing the killing. The saints are the ones who had to have patience. We haven't been in a position to go out killing people. Okay? he's managed to cast that spell that's affecting you 2/3 in the hood, where you, and it's killing you really. That curse is the sentencing for your wickedness is happening to you more immediately. Jake is getting killed and gunned down, right away. But see, Esau, his wickedness, he hasn't paid for his. His has just been building up and building up and building and building like a crescendo, like a big snowball. All right, so that's why when that judgment comes, it's gonna be huge, man. But it says here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And this guy Esau, he's still killing people with the sword, man. He's still over there doing drone strikes. He's spoiling the lands of other nations. He's swindling them out of their resources, out of their money with false balances in this U.S. dollar. He's causing famines. He's cutting off supply chains, and who knows how many people have died from that, man. He's manipulating weather, causing natural disaster events. So what is going to happen to him? What is the end all be all? He's gonna go into captivity and he's gonna be killed with the sword because that's what he did, and it's completely fair. All right. But see, these people don't want you to learn about this in the school.
4 books being taught in 2nd grade. One tells a story of school segregation through the eyes of Mexican-American students. One is about the March on Washington.
Yep.
And 2
All
are about
Jake.
civil rights icon Ruby Bridges.
I'll show you in the teacher's manual. It instructs the teacher to point this word out and teach about racial slurs. And how
Steedman says it's okay for kids to read the book Bridges wrote about her experience as a 6-year-old, but it's not okay for kids to talk about some of the pictures in the book, like Norman Rockwell's famous painting.
all this curriculum
Right.
highlights is the mean white people and how she's victimized, and it speaks to nothing of the good.
Educators across
What
the
good
country
came out? These people actually think that they did something good, man. Esau actually convinced himself that, yeah, I might have done some bad things, but overall it's for the greater good. He actually thinks that, man. Bro brought it out yesterday in Isaiah, and I didn't mean for this to go this long, but the spirit goes where it goes on this. Isaiah 47 and 8, it says, "Therefore now hear this, thou that art given to pleasures and dwellest carelessly," because you took all the pleasures of the land, right, by taking all the wealth, but you don't take any of the accountability for any of the blood that was shed, for any of the land that was taken, right? But you've taken all the treasures, all the good things, all the resources, all the gold, all the fine wood, the different fields and minerals in the earth. All right, you've used that to make weapons and militaries. It says that sayest in thine heart, I am, and no one else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. That's really the mindset of these people, for them to think that they did something good here. All right, it says, but these 2 things shall come to thee in a moment, and one day the loss of children and widowhood. All right, because they don't think anything's going to happen to their kids. All right. It says, they shall come up on thee in their perfection with the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. And these are enchantments and sorceries, man. You trying to convince people that you're actually the good guy in all of this? If a crazy ass serial killer takes you captive, does that make him a good guy because he gives you a meal every day in your captivity before he cuts your head off? All right, you're not a good guy because you fed the person that you took. All right, but it says they shall come up on thee in their perfection. So meaning you're gonna have a whole bunch of children. You're going to have a whole bunch of Edomites that's going to really think that they're innocent. And then the Most High is going to bring the hammer down on you. All right. It says, "For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me." All right. And now that the internet is exposing everything, because we can trade information so rapidly, so quickly, and it's very hard to control it. Right. But so now they got to go to the schools where the kids learn and shut it down. But this whole time, you thought you were going to get away with this. You thought you were going to be commit the largest atrocity in the history of the world, and nobody was gonna bring it up. You thought you can just swoop that under the rug and move on. No, man. And people ain't gonna forget about this. I don't give a damn how long ago it was. It says, "Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee." All right. So you think because you invented all of these weapons, you have aircraft carriers and nuclear weapons and all of these things, that you're better than everybody else. That you have different sciences. You can go into DNA and you can look out into the heavens. You think you're above. It's perverted your mind to think that you can mess with the Most High, and you just can't. Okay. It says, "And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and no one else beside me." So, Esau, you got, man, you got hell to pay for, man. All right.
Are alarmed by talk like this.
We see some sort of almost manufactured crisis here. There isn't a crisis in how we teach history in this country. You would never go into a school in Germany and say, "Oh, why do you teach about Nazism?" You would never ask that question, because they do teach about it, because teachers want kids in Germany to understand what that history was.
The Moms for Liberty complaint says students are being taught lessons.
Hey, I'm gonna end it on that, man. I didn't plan on this going that long, but you brothers get the point, man. This devil's got to go. And how much do we have to go into to show you this, man? Y'all out there going to voting booths and trying to make hashtag movements on Twitter, and go out there marching and protesting. This shit is folly, man. You're under a giant spell of witchcraft, and y'all need to wake the hell up. So I'll end it there with that. Hopefully, our brothers were edified. Call halal Yahweh Bashimi Hawashai, Bahashamrachak Wadash Wa Abba Babal, Shalom.